this is Richard Cuslak with GMCTV, and we're very lucky to have a new startup company and also the co-founder of this company with us today. And in my opinion, of course, we're here at the Space Symposium in Colorado Springs, so this is really exciting to have an innovator in the space sector, which is really, as you know, Christopher, is really a key pillar to advancing U.S. global societies and ensuring the safety of the generations. RBC Signals is clearly an example of this awakening. So let me introduce Christopher Richens, correct?
That's correct.
He's the CEO, and so my first question is, what really kind of drove him to co-found the company?
Yeah, so RBC Signals was co-founded because we wanted to make it easy to get data from low Earth orbit down to the ground. We recognize that life on Earth is better if we can lower the bar and make it affordable and easier to get access to this data and this technology. And so we founded RBC Signals to be able to make that possible.
Oh, wow. You know, you have a very impressive technological and experienced members of your executive staff. I was really amazed. If you want, you can talk a little bit about them. And what was the one key motivation that you appealed to for them to join? This is always difficult, because I know, to join your startup.
So you're absolutely right that our executive team is extremely experienced. We were very fortunate to have them join the team, and really the motivator was this common vision that we have that life on Earth can be improved through access to space technology. And we believe that real-time access to space data and the democratization of that data and making that data more affordable and lowering the bar of entry to access to that data is important. And we all share that common vision, and that was really the thing that brought us together.
Yeah, I noticed you want to talk a little bit about the three key people, or maybe your co-founder. Again, just to show kind of the depth of experience that members of your staff have.
Absolutely. So we're very fortunate. My co-founder is Olga Gershenson, and for the last 25 years she was a market maker, a new segment of services for real-time data services. So she was building ground stations all across Russia to be able to downlink data directly from Earth observation satellites in real time, process those images, and sell those data products based on those analytics. And what she was doing was decades ahead of what seems to be a novel idea now to do these real-time analytics. It's something that she's been doing for many decades with great success all across Russia. And it was really her expertise with managing this global network of ground stations and dealing with the data and dealing with the satellite operators and the team that she had that really made her a perfect partner. And when I approached her, because of the relationship that I had with her, I knew that she was an expert in this area, and found out that she had sold her stake in her previous company, ScanX, and was now looking to do a very similar project that what I wanted to do, which is to create this global network of infrastructure to be able to provide real-time access to data. We knew very quickly that we would be a good fit together. And then she was able to bring in Ronnie Hellerman, who is our VP of Sales, the third member of our executive team, who's based in Tel Aviv, who has his own great career, and they had worked together for over 15 years. Ronnie was with ImageSat, an Israeli Earth observation satellite operator, who had partnered with Olga to provide real-time data across Russia. And when we understood that he was becoming available after a long and successful career in Israeli military, and then also with ImageSat on the commercial side, we found that it was a great time for him to come and join us, and we're able to, very fortunately for us, convince him to join the team.
Wow, wow, what a story. What an impressive team as well. You know, your company specializes in delivering processing of, as you mentioned many times, real-time data from satellites to LEO. And can you give us an idea of the technical innovations that you're employing? The concept behind the sharing economy and utilizing excess capacity of existing ground stations across the globe to provide affordable, low latency services to the emerging class of new space commercial satellite operators? That's a long question, I know, so I'm sorry.
No, I can. It's not a problem, because really, if we look at what the barriers are to getting access to low latency data from space that's affordable, we can address all of those in terms of our innovations. So low latency, in order to deliver data with low latency from low Earth orbit, because these satellites are orbiting the Earth every 90 minutes, they will travel over a single ground station. They will move from horizon to horizon in typically less than 10 minutes. And so if you want to have data in real time or in near real time, you actually need to physically have a global network of ground stations to be able to gain access to that data in near real time. So step one is we need to be able to provide this global network of infrastructure. To make it affordable, that's where some of the innovation comes in, because these ground stations are very expensive, but because of the physics of low Earth orbit, a satellite might only fly over a single ground station a few times a day. And so for many hours in the day, that ground station would be idle, sitting there unused.
Right.
And so what we realized is this excess capacity that was existing in the market was a resource that could be used to increase the efficiency and the productivity of those assets. And so we have developed a platform that allows us to very simply aggregate the excess capacity of these existing assets and do it in a way where, for our customer, it seems like it's just one very clean interface where they can come in, they can schedule time to use these ground stations, and the data is delivered to them as if it was from one of their own native ground stations. But instead of having to pay the tens of millions of dollars that would be required to have this global network of infrastructure, they're able to pay for this as a service at a fraction of the cost that it would cost to build it. And then the overall utilization of the assets that have been deployed goes up. Then the third element of what we do, so if we've got real-time access for the downlink and we were making it affordable, the third piece is real-time processing. Because the images that come down from space need to be processed, and sometimes that can be a lengthy and computationally extensive or intensive process. And what we have done is we've developed some intellectual property around how to process these images in real time. So rather than the old way of a satellite flies overhead, the data is downlinked over these 10 minutes, and then that information is sent back via terrestrial cable to a headquarters where it can be processed, maybe over the course of many hours. We can actually process the data while the satellite is still in flight over the ground station and begin to deliver high priority image products and other information services while the satellite's in flight. And so this is a novel piece of technology that is enabling capability that isn't currently available in the market.
You know, I've heard of a lot of business cases, and quite candidly, I think it's a really winning business case.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing that with me and our subscribers. It's clear that the foreseeable future of macro data consumption trends show a higher bandwidth, of course, higher resolution, real-time on-demand corporate needs. Will you also target the needs of the defense departments in the USA or elsewhere?
So General Hyten for the last several years has been talking about the need to leverage investments in the commercial markets and to start to share the capacity of ground resources between branches of the DoD, between civil space, to be able to get more efficient use of those investments, also to increase resiliency and other key items that are important to the warfighter. Sure. And so while currently we are not providing services directly to a government customer, because we are primarily focused on commercial operations, one of the key barriers to that, to our entering into that market for the DoD, has primarily been the FAR, the federal acquisition regulations. Right. That have quite stringent requirements that make it very difficult for a small company to provide services to the government because of the overhead associated with complying with those regulations. And we're very fortunate now to be working with DIUX, which is making it possible to provide services to DoD on commercial terms without having to go through that burden, and making it a lot more accessible for small commercial companies to make the innovations and services that they offer available to DoD.
Wow, well, that's you are definitely a problem solver. There's no doubt in my mind. That's excellent.
We're taking advantage of a lot of good thinking by people to solve some problems that have been existing for a long time.
Thank you very much. Let me look at. Actually, you mentioned you have about 30 antennas and 20 plus strategic locations. Can you give us an idea of some of the current, not, you don't have to give all of them out, but just a few.
Sure. So we cover most of the northern hemisphere. So we have great sites in Alaska. We cover most of Russia, which is quite unique in ground station service providers.
Sure.
Europe is covered with multiple layers of redundancy. We have our first ground station available in China.
Oh.
So there are some really exciting areas, and we're continuing to add to the network on a monthly basis. We have partners coming into the network, and we are also deploying our own infrastructure. Wherever we can, we like to utilize existing infrastructure, but if there are gaps in our network, whether it's a capacity gap or a geographical coverage gap, we can then meet our customers' needs by building or leasing a new asset on those locations.
Excellent. Well, this is another one of these real big questions, but we're getting to the end. So it's clear that for the foreseeable future, macro data consumption trends will show very higher resolution and so forth. It's very clear in your answer that you really have a very clear understanding about the commercial side and also the government side, because as you know, there's really been a trend for government to move more towards commercial. We see that, of course, in the launch vehicle. So you're certainly headed in the right track. I know that you're located in Redmond,
Yes.
Which is the home, of course, of Microsoft. So
Yes.
when I was looking at your recent funding, I thought, wow, I'm going to ask this question. Has Bill Gates contributed to your company?
Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe he should.
But we'd take his call.
Okay, great. Well, I wanted to kind of end this brief interview. If you'd like to, share some more thoughts with us, would be great. And so I'll let you kind of take the stage and maybe summarize, or maybe perhaps put some points up that perhaps we haven't touched.
Great, thank you very much. For RBC Signals, our mission is to make it easy to move your data from space to the ground. And right now we do that via our global network of ground stations, because that is the most cost-effective and efficient way to do that. But really, our expertise is moving that data by whatever means is necessary to the ground. So that can be ground stations in the future, it could be optical systems, it could be satellite links. We are able to help satellite operators solve the problem of getting that data in real time, delivering it to their customers as efficiently as possible for the lowest possible price. And we're proud to be able to work with the customers that we have today, and look forward to enabling the future expansion and access to space and space technology.
Well, Christopher, this has really been a great interview, and I really appreciate you taking time, and I know you're going to be extremely successful with that type of passion that you have, and also the great team you have. So I know it's going to be a winning business combination. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet.